I'm Carla Hunt, CEO and founder of Prioritizing Peace and the host of the Unapologetically Prioritizing Peace podcast. Welcome to episode 29. This episode is What are Chakras? Chakras Explained, a beginner's guide to chakra alignment. If you have ever stumbled upon a meditation or yoga exercise that talked about chakras and wondered what the heck they are talking about, whether you are familiar with chakras or not, you are in for a treat because I'm excited to have a special guest on this episode to talk to you about the juicy goodness of what chakras are, where the chakras are located, how they impact our energy, how we can get our chakras back into alignment, and how my special guest specifically uses chakras. I want to welcome my special guest, Victoria Grace. She is a healer, speaker, embodiment guide, and sacred rebel. She helps intuitives clear trauma so that they can get turned on, invoke abundance, and expand through energetics, somatics, and structural intimacy. Thank you for being here, Victoria Grace.
Thank you for having me. That was such a beautiful introduction. Like, ooh.
Thank you. So please tell us what chakras are.
So if you have been in the spiritual world at all, you have probably heard of chakras. I mean, it's hard to go anywhere without hearing about them, but nobody actually really tells you what they are. So for me, chakras are just energetic portals. We have 7 portals throughout our body that really encompass our organs, our thoughts, our physical self with our spiritual self and also our mental self. So it's really, for me, a combination between the mind, body, and soul. And that's why I love them so much, because it's also a great physical point on your body to see where you are holding the trauma. So, for example, like if you are someone who is having like financial trouble, or if you're someone who's really stuck in that like survival mode, then you're probably holding a lot of trauma around your hips and like the lower part of your body. You're probably having like leg pains, things like that. And that shows you that your root chakra is out of alignment. So there's really, I like to split it up into 3 categories. There's the lower chakras, which are your root chakra, your sacral, and then also your solar plexus. And those are more of your physical day-to-day life chakras. And then we go up and we have the heart chakra, and the heart connects the lower body to the upper body. It connects the physical to also the spiritual. And then we move up into the upper chakras, which are your throat, your third eye, your crown, all that kind of stuff, which is really that spiritual element, and really that element of, okay, this is my intuition, this is like my thought process, this is really that spiritual connection that I was searching for. And so it's super simple when you break it down and when you know what they are and what each of them do. It's just a roadmap for you to know exactly what's going on and where to pinpoint it super, super easily, so that you don't have to like sit down and think about it and do all the things. And you can just be like, wait, no, this is what's out of alignment. Cool. Let me focus on this. Let me do an activity that's going to stimulate this. And then you feel so much better, so much quicker. And I'm all about ease. So that's why I absolutely love the chakras. They're in everything I do.
So you've already mentioned where they are located, the lower ones. Do you want to be more specific about where they're located?
Yeah, we can go through the locations and kind of what each chakra means. And it'll probably give a better visual as well. So the root chakra is really at the base of your spine. So all of the chakras build up from the base of your spine to the top of your head. And if you were like me, when you were first doing this, you're probably like, what about the lower parts? Like, what about my legs? What about like the other half of my body? And there's a reason that we start at the spine, because if you think about it as well, like if you have a spinal injury, you're going to feel it in the lower part of your body. If you have spinal impact or spinal trauma, then you're going to have trouble moving your legs. You're going to have trouble with that lower part of your body. And everything is in the spine. So we start at the spine with the root chakra, which is really our foundation. It is our shelter, our food, our money. It's all the things that we lie awake at night thinking about. It's also where the start of our mentality is kept. So if we are in that kind of survival mode, it's built in that root chakra. If we're in the thriving of it, that is also built in the root chakra. So we move from the root chakra from the base of the spine to the bottom of the belly button, right underneath the belly button, and that is our sacral chakra. Honestly, you have like the sacral, the root, and the third eye are probably the ones that everybody talks about, because those are like the fun ones. Those are really the ones that like people can get excited about, because especially the sacral, because the sacral is all about pleasure and sensuality and passion and creativity and all the really juicy, fun stuff that we love to talk about. And so we start there with the sacral, with really the vitality of life, really the passion, and not entirely the drive, but the actual embodiment, the actual moving through life, the fluidity of life. And then we build up to right above the belly button, which is our solar plexus. And our solar plexus is really our stability. It is really that action taker. It is the daily life. It is the intake of life. So we have that balance between the sacral and the solar, which is why they're so close together. Because if we are too much in our sacral, if we're too much in the pleasure, if we're too much in the passion, then we move into chaos. And then we're like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? Like, I have no idea what's doing. And like a week goes by and you have no idea what has happened. And that solar plexus really balances it out. It gives the action to it. It gives the deeper meaning to it. And then, of course, we move up to our heart chakra. And our heart chakra, like I said, it's the connector. And I think everybody knows where that is, because it is the heart, it is the love, it is just gratitude and the really door to our intuition. Like our intuition doesn't begin in the third eye, like a lot of people think. It actually begins in our heart. So our heart is really the connector between that physical and also the spiritual. And then we move up to our throat. Our throat chakra is where you think it is. It is the throat. It is right around here. And this is really our powerhouse. It is the powerhouse to manifestations. It is the physical expression of our truth. It is really the first step of that spiritual kind of mental coming into the physical reality. So once again, it's kind of that combination, and it's that house between the physical and spiritual. And then we move up to the third eye, and everybody probably knows where their third eye is. I don't know if like you can ever go through your entire life without hearing about the third eye. So our third eye is right between our eyes, right at our eyebrow, and it's that little point right in the center. And this is really the seat of your intuition. It is really the expression of our soul. So like I said, intuition begins in the heart. It is the doorway to our intuition, the doorway to our soul in the heart. But that third eye is really where there's power in the intuition. And it's, you start to feel it, you start to notice it, you start to really grasp and take hold of it. And then we move from our third eye to our crown, which is at the top of our head. And it's, if you do tapping at all, it's the point where you tap. It is like middle of your head, like first thing, like if you are somebody who's so exasperated, it's literally the first place that you put your hands. And that is really the gateway to the heaven. So it is the God portal. It is the angel portal. It is the portal between our really vision for life and why we are here. It is the connector to why we are actually here in this world, doing these things, going through these lessons, having these things. And it's really the beginning of that favorite self. That is where our favorite self lives. And we try to ascend to it, but really it just gets to be brought down through the chakras into the root, which brings that balance to it, which brings the grounded energy that we want when we are doing our lives and when we are creating our manifestations.
That's amazing. I love all of that. I really love your point about how the heart chakra like ties everything together and it's the gateway to our intuition.
Yeah, it's one of those where when I was learning about the chakras, I was really trying to figure out like where the heart chakra was. Like, how did it connect? Like, it's easy to visualize and see the lower chakras, and it's easy to visualize and see the upper chakras. And then you just have the heart, and it's just like in the middle. It has like nothing by it really, and it just does its own thing. And I was like, okay,
yeah,
it doesn't need the other things around it. It doesn't need the other portals, the other vortexes, whatever you want to call it. It's just there, and it brings balance because there's so much going on in the lower and so much going on in the upper. If we had anything else, we would just be going crazy. So it brings that beautiful balance to it.
love that. Speaking of beautiful balances, how do the chakras impact our energy and how can we get back into alignment?
Yeah. So our chakras impact not only our physical self, but like I said, they impact our mental self, they impact our spiritual self. So let's just go through how the chakras kind of play out in terms of like things that you could really see with the energy. So in terms of the root, all of our fears are based in our root chakra. So if you are trying to ascend to a new level and you are getting that fear of not being good enough or not having enough or whatever the fear is, because we could go on and on about that, whatever the fear is, you know that that's your sign to work on your root chakra. That's your sign that you're probably not grounded. You are probably just rushing through life. You're not really taking a moment, breathing, coming back to yourself, and you probably feel really, really exhausted. And then it's also the emotional. So our root will impact our emotions, especially since it's so much about fear. If you're feeling more of the anxiety, you know that, hey, something out of survival is coming through. And it's once again just an insight to be like, hey, okay, I have this fear around money. Cool. The fear around money is really just this because I don't think I'm worthy of it or whatever. And then you can kind of bring forth the emotional side of it of, hey, okay, money means that I can actually pay my bills. That makes me happy. That makes me safe. Cool. Let's take that up and take it into our sacral, which is that emotional process of, okay, cool, money makes me feel safe. But beyond the safety, what does money bring to me? It brings more joy. It brings more pleasure. It brings more excitement. It brings more opportunities. And then you can start to really feel it in your body and it starts to activate that nervous system. And then you can bring it up into the solar plexus, which is our digestion. So if you are having digestive issues, you know that there's something going on in that solar plexus, and most likely beyond even the solar plexus, it's actually really the root chakra. And you're just getting too anxious about your survival. And then the heart, once again, like it is the trust. And when we can really, when we're not seeing the transformation happen, and we've done all the work around the root and the sacral and the solar, and we have the things, we have the excitement, we have the plan, we're taking the action steps, and we're still not seeing it come into fruition, that's just a sign for us to do more work in our heart chakra, because the heart chakra is the transformation. It is the trust, because when there is trust, there is space. And the heart chakra is all about space. I mean, just think about your physical heart. It pumps blood through every single like inch of your body. And so if we can have more space and more depthness in our heart chakra, of course that transformation is going to happen. It has no other choice. And then with the throat, especially if you're a manifester, your throat is like a whole thing. Like, you know, when something is out of alignment just from your throat, because once again, it is like the self-expression. It is the physical truth. So if you are having more like colds, if you are having more like sinus infections and things with throat, like scratchy throats, all that kind of stuff, it's your sign that, hey, am I actually in the fullest expression of my truth? Or have I been letting other things, other people, other situations control it? And then it's just that, hey, cool. Now let me get back into my truth and remember who I am, because I'm amazing. And that's all we need. And then from there, the third eye is really the perception. So once again, if you are going through your life and you are perceiving things as there's not a lot of opportunities right now because of the pandemic, there's not a lot of things like, oh, of course I can't do this because of this, whatever it is, that is just your own self-perception. So if you are seeing something in a way that you don't like, if it is something that doesn't feel good, if it is something that really doesn't let you be in the fullest expression of yourself, then you know that that's something to do with your third eye. You know, okay, cool. Let me go meditate for a minute. Let me go get quiet. Let me go come back and change that perception. And then the crown is once again the perception, but it's more so the perception of why we are here. And so if you are lost in not knowing your purpose, if you are lost in really not seeing how things are going to work out, if you're lost and feeling disconnected, it's really that crown chakra, and it's really that sign to go back and meditate, or to go outside, see the beauty of nature, see the abundance that surrounds you. So it's these like super easy kind of tangible things that are so quick for you to kind of shift into. And that's like one of my absolute favorite things. Like, I could go on about it because it's just, when you understand those and when you start to play in those energies, so much starts to shift and so much happens without even quote unquote trying. And I mean, who wants to do more? Like, I'm someone who really wants to do less. So like, this allows for you to do less because it is the thing that you are actually needing.
You are absolutely right. And to add to your point, I'm a manifester as well. And
God, I love
throat
manifestors.
chakra, yeah, my throat chakra was acting up like right around the new year. And I was talking to someone, and it was right after I had a conversation with this person. And I was just like, I woke up with a sore throat, and I was like, well, this is an anomaly because there's no reason for me to feel sick. And then after I removed this person from my space and contact, I immediately felt better and my throat stopped hurting.
Yeah,
just having the awareness of like where the energy doesn't feel right and where it's coming from, like, makes all the difference for me.
Yeah, and same for me. Like the first time that we were supposed to do this, I woke up with no voice. And when I thought about it, I was like, really, my solar plexus and my sacral had been out of alignment. And I knew that like the things I was doing, I was pushing too hard, but I didn't want to listen to it because I have all these goals and all these things. And of course, I couldn't give voice to my manifestations. I couldn't give the power to it because I was overexerting myself because of a like belief that I needed to. And so as soon as like my throat started, I was like, oh, okay, where have I been giving away my power? And the more you work with it, the easier it is for like you ask that question and immediately you know. And then it's just this beautiful, okay, cool. This, especially as a manifester, that means I get to take a rest, take a break, be in that rest cycle for a little bit, and then get re-energized.
For me, you made a really great point. Is it the sacral chakra that like when that's not in alignment, we're, because the other one, which one is the pleasure center?
Sacral.
Okay, so the sacral. So when we're very much in tune with that one, it causes chaos. So like I have to be aware sometimes when I'm like processing all my emotions, not to get stuck there. And I have to recognize that because sometimes that can cause the misalignment of my throat chakra also. Because I'm just like, okay, where's the misfire happening?
Exactly. And it's that feminine energy. And like the beautiful thing about feminine energy is like it is the flow, it is the passion, it is all of that. But I don't know about you, but like let's just go to our actual feminine cycle. When we are actually in the flow, there brings chaos. There brings like irritability. There's like, I just need to go take a nap and not do anything. And like, that's a beautiful thing to have. But we need the balance of the solar plexus, which is that masculine energy, which is that, okay, these are the actions, these are the container that I'm creating so that I can be safe in my expression of the feminine, so that I can be safe in the expression of just receiving my desires, because I know that I put these things into place that there's no way it's not going to happen. Like, I know that I show up. I know that I do XYZ and have XYZ in place. And then that just allows for you to feel safe, which once again just brings forth that root and that foundation that you can just lean back into and know that you're supported.
Yeah. All of that is just like the best description, that like the safety and the security and how it all ties back to the root. Like it's just, it all ties together. And I love it so much. And speaking of how everything ties together, please enlighten us about how you personally use the chakras.
Yeah. So I use the chakras. I'm weird. I mean, I'm a manifestor. I think all manifestors are weird because we do things our own way. But I mean, I do too. So I use the chakras really as like a map for me of knowing, okay, what is actually out of alignment right now. Just, it's really for me, because I work with them so much, just kind of a pinpoint to, okay, where is it that I'm actually holding on to something so that I can quickly shift it. And then as well, it's one of the things that I do just in my own life, in my own business, is I always go through the collective energy. And when I go through the collective energy, I can see exactly where it is impacting that chakra, like what chakra it's impacting and where it's impacting, so that I can already be doing the work and I can already be doing the little extra things that is going to allow for me to be my best self when the collective is going haywire, because it's always going haywire. So like, for example, like the month of January, it's almost all of it is around the root chakra. But like today, we actually had an energy transition and it went into our third eye. So I know that, hey, cool, a lot's going to be coming in where we're going to be overthinking and all of that. Let me work on my third eye and let me do some meditation and do some of that work around the third eye so that as this comes up, I already feel safe. I already feel supported. I already kind of have the practices that I can lean back into when things are going chaotic.
Yes. I love that you're already like ahead of the game when it comes to like grounding yourself and getting your chakra in alignment, while the rest of us are like just figuring it out, walking around blindly.
Yeah. And it's one of the things too, because I have an undefined root center. So I have to, or not have to, I get to do a lot of work around my root center or my root chakra. Because if I don't, then I'm taking so much on from other people and so many other people's beliefs and so many other people's goals and so many other things that aren't about me, that have nothing to do with me, that I honestly don't want to deal with and I don't need to deal with. And so knowing that, like, hey, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming for the root chakra, that allows for me to be like, okay, crap, so much is happening in the collective now around that. Do we want to take that on? Do we want to take on billions of people's stuff into our own energetic centers? No. Nobody in their right mind wants to do that. Okay, cool. What can I do right now to build up that root chakra a little bit so that when the collective stuff is coming, I can already be grounded in my own power and kind of it bounce off of me.
Yeah. Do you have any recommendations of what others can do to build up their chakras?
Yeah. So I would say, like, if you are someone who is just starting out with the chakras, really work on the root chakra. Like, everything is built off of that. And each of those chakras build off of each other. So if you are just starting out, we really want to build that foundation. And we really want to ground into that foundation so that it's so strong, it's unshakable, so that when everything else gets added onto it, it's already stable. And if you are like, cool, I've done the root chakra work. Okay. What feels out of alignment for you? Because if you're saying, I've done the root chakra work, I don't feel like that's out of alignment, beautiful. Ask yourself what is, and then start working with that and start seeing how it's playing out. Are you speaking your truth in your throat? Are you in the pleasure in your sacral? Are you actually taking the daily actions in your solar? Are you actually listening to your intuition in your third eye? Are you actually connecting to your favorite self in your crown? What are you doing? Or what does not feel like it is actually balanced?
Absolutely. I know that there's so many great questions that we can ask and to journal on and to meditate on. And I feel like a lot of times we forget to do that and to slow down, but slowing down can allow us to speed up.
Yeah, exactly. And like, here's the thing as well. Like, here's a secret trick that you can do is, while journaling is amazing, you don't have to take out your journal and physically write everything. Use that throat chakra as a transformation. And then you're clearing out 2 chakras for the price of 1.
So do you just like verbally say it, or do you do audio recordings like on your phone?
I verbally say it, and I also do audio recordings. Like, one of my favorite things is, and I can do an example for you, is I will do verbal shifts. So like, if I have a belief or like an old programming thing that really is not serving me anymore, I can easily, with my throat chakra, shift it in the span of a minute.
Yeah.
And we can do an example if you want.
Yeah. Would you please?
Yeah, sure. What? Just give me a belief. Like
I feel like a very common one is like, I'm not good enough.
Yeah. So I really think that I'm not good enough, but really, is that actually the truth? Because if I wasn't good enough, then would I have graduated high school? Would I have graduated college? Would I have been able to do the things that I've done? Wait, I've done some amazing things. So if I've done amazing things, then doesn't that mean I'm amazing? Yeah, I'm pretty amazing. So it's not that I'm not good enough. It's actually that I'm amazing and I just didn't believe that I was amazing enough. And you know what? I'm done with that. And guess what? I'm amazing.
Love that. Give me chills. Like as you were saying, like all the things that you've accomplished.
Yeah. And like you can physically feel it in your body. Like I started getting chills. I was like, ooh,
yeah,
fun. And like that was just 1 minute. And we shifted from that low vibrational of I'm not good enough, I can't do this, to let's go.
Yeah. So if people want to work with you to get into more alignment and the other services that you provide, where can they find you on social media?
Yeah. So on social media, you can find me at Hey Victoria Grace on Instagram. You can also find me in the Intuitive Mystical Goddess community on Facebook. I'm going to be honest, mainly find me on Instagram because Facebook and I are not friends right now. And you can also find me on the Total Shift Show, which is my podcast, which is where we actually go through the collective energies and really go through the chakras so that you know exactly what's going on and where exactly to work on so that you're not bringing in all the stuff that's unnecessary.
Perfect. I will link that in the description below so that people can find you easily because we love
Awesome. Awesome. This was so much fun. I loved it.
Me too. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. It was my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.